And Nabila's back with me. She's got more information about the Jabalia refugee camp. That is the site that has just been struck by a big air attack by Israel. Over to you, Nabila.
Let me decode for you the entire Jabalia camp layout here. A horrific attack that's killed dozens and injured hundreds of them. If I could take you through, as we see here, the map of Jabalia. In fact, this is the map where you can see Israel, the West Bank, and the Gaza Strip entirely. And now zooming in to the Jabalia camp itself, to give you a clear sense, in northern Gaza region that's shared by Israeli Defense Forces, let me clear that this is a map shared by the Israeli Defense Forces showing the Jabalia camp very clearly here close to Gaza. And in northern Gaza, this is that refugee camp which was struck by Israeli forces. In fact, the camp is also located near, very close to multiple Hamas underground tunnel shifts. The tunnels that have been established there are mostly along civilian establishments, which is what's making it harder for Israeli Defense Forces to carry out the attacks without actually harming or without civilians coming in the line of fire. Now, around the camp, we also see that there are multiple areas here which also show weapon productions, or at least shafts that have multiple weapon production facilities and rocket launch posts. In fact, these are the posts and infrastructures that the Israel forces wanted to particularly target. So you see the layout here, mostly around civilian establishments that we see. A closer look now at the Jabalia refugee camp to take you through what it really looks like. Israel has claimed that the camp was being used by Hamas commanders. Now, that's clear that the Jabalia camp, which has massive civilian establishments around it, Hamas commanders are carrying out their operations, their terrorist operations along these areas, these tunnel shafts that are located within this region. So this is precisely the area that is currently under target by the Israeli Defense Forces as of now.
Nabila, thanks very much. The ground attack the ground attack in areas around the Jabalia refugee camp are continuing even in the wake of that big airstrike. There are rescue and relief operations taking place at the Jabalia strike. So there are horrific images coming in from that refugee camp. We'll be reporting more on that. But the Israeli ground operation that's now on day 5 is continuing all around the refugee camp as well as other parts of northern Gaza. According to the latest figures released by the Israeli Defense Forces, 11,000 targets in total have been struck from the air so far. Remember that we're currently on day 26 of this operation. So day 26 and 11,000 targets struck in airstrikes by the Israeli forces. And these, of course, have been augmented now by targeting using tanks and armored personnel carriers on the ground in the last 5 days since ground operations have also begun. I also want to tell you that despite all these attacks on the ground and from the air in Gaza, the Hamas's rocket launching capacity continues to be viable, at least in some respects. I myself experienced 2 rocket attacks in the areas I was reporting from yesterday. The city of Ashdod had a big rocket attack in which 6 people were injured when rockets fell in a residential car park. As soon as I reached Tel Aviv, where I'm reporting from now, last night there were 6 big intercepts over the city. Buildings shook. It was a very close call for Israel's largest city. So that rocket potential, rocket capacity of the Hamas, has most definitely been depleted, but it continues to exist in some form or the other, and that continues to be a threat for Israel's residential areas. We've also done an imagery analysis of how things are looking from satellites right now. Planet Labs and Indiatoday collaborated to put together this annotated visual that you're seeing on your screen in a moment of what Gaza looks like since the ground operation began. It's a depiction of the ground forces, the tanks that have entered, the craters formed by bombing in the residential parts of North Gaza. And this is where 2.5 kilometers from this site is where you've been seeing my ground reports from. All of it has been visible on our cameras, including some of the airstrikes and the tank shelling as well. So northern Gaza is now a complete hellscape.
אנחנו יוצאים למתקפה על החמאס וארגוני הטרור ברצועת עזה. מטרתנו היא אחת, ניצחון. לא משנה כמה תהיה ארוכה הלחימה, כמה קשה, אין תוצאה אחרת מלבד ניצחון. נילחם במקצועיות ובעוצמה לאור ערכי צה"ל עליהם חונכנו, ובראשם הדבקות במשימה והחתירה לניצחון. תם כל עם ישראל, כולם מביטים בנו כעת. כמוני, גם הם סומכים עליכם ומאמינים בכם. אתם דור הניצחון. כאן קודקוד, נו למשימותיכם, הכו באויב, סוף.